Alright, in this video, we're going to be talking about the most important question that people always ask me in every single one of my videos, whether it's a banner video or even just a character video. People will still ask me this question: when is this limited unit coming back? When are these limited units coming back? Are they going to be in the standard banner? Are they going to be in the gold certificate shop? We're going to talk about all the ways you can get them and all the ways you can't get them. But let's first of all talk about the most important thing, which is the collabs. Now, recently we had the Monster Hunter collab, which I know a lot of people did play through. There was the likes of Kira Yato and also Rathalos S. Noir. I'm going to say it straight away, and this might disappoint some people, but it's very likely we won't see a collab again with them. So we might not see Monster Hunter collab units again. I'm not ruling it out completely, but let's talk about how collabs actually work. So a lot of the time, from what I understand, I could be wrong, let me know in the comments, but basically the two companies that are in charge of, for example, Monster Hunter and Arknights, talk to each other, try and sign a contract to bring units over or bring something over from the other game or from the franchise to just make the game have a collaboration of some kind. It's great for promoting games. Now, the thing about this is usually signed with, for example, Arknights getting units. Now, the problem now is, even though we signed a contract once, it doesn't mean we're going to be guaranteed to get the units again in the future. I believe it's either Arknights goes back to Monster Hunter and asks for the actual units again and asks for a rerun of the collab, maybe even try and add something to the collab and just keep promoting, or the companies don't really do that and it's just one-time collab, which it seems like it was for Rainbow Six Siege. Now, obviously, this could mean that we will just never see the Rainbow Six Siege operators like we haven't seen so far. So, for example, Ash, Blitz, Takonka, we're not going to see them in the game anytime soon, potentially never. And it goes the same for Kira Yato and Rathalos S. Noir. It sucks, but it is the reality of collabs, and it generally is always the case. You either see reruns all the time, or you don't see a single one because the companies just aren't interested in working together, or it just doesn't really make sense to do another collab with the same company. So now I actually talk about the normal limited operators in Arknights that are not collab operators. We obviously have the likes of W, Rosamontis, Chongyue, who recently released. There's a lot of them, and here's actually the list of actual 6-star operators who are limited. There's honestly kind of crazy amount when you look at it, but I want to very quickly preface that I've seen some people talk about this. Will you be able to get limited units out of the yellow certificate shop? No, they will not be coming to the yellow certificate store. They will not be coming to the blue certificate store. You will not be able to get them from any certificate shop. They are limited units at this moment in time. They will not be coming back in that sense. You cannot get them from there, so do not save up your yellow certificates thinking you can get a W or Spectre the Unchained. It's not something that can happen. All these units will not be in the yellow certificate shop. Right, next up we have standard banners. So, with standard banners, can we get limited operators? No. For example, the recent one we have, Sir and Phantom, will that ever rotate into actually being a limited unit like W, maybe Aotheola, the new Aotheola unit? No, we're not ever going to be able to get them through there. At this current time, you cannot select limited units for your standard banner, and they do not rotate through them. Maybe down the line that will change, but at this current time, that is not possible. So that moves me on to the main way you can actually get them. So this is where a lot of people might have heard the word sparking. And sparking, I don't actually know what exactly stands for, but basically the explanation is you can go into the actual banner for this, and only some banners have this, but you will be able to spend pools and acquire these points. Now, each different event has different types of these points. Not every event has them, but you'll be able to stack up these points, and when you get a very specific amount, which in most cases is 300, you can buy a 6-star from the shop. The 6 stars from the shop are always going to be limited operators most of the time, unless there's one that's actually on the banner, but you will always see potentially the likes of, oh, maybe sometimes it'll be W, maybe, for example, on the Aotheola banner, it should be like Chen Alter, it could be Gavial Alter. There's a lot of units it could be. Obviously, not every single banner is guaranteed to have every limited unit. Sometimes the Sparking shop just doesn't have every single one of them, but it has a select few. Now, one thing I actually forgot to mention was also any unit that is an alter does not mean they're limited. For example, even though Nerl the Radiant Knight is an alternate version of Nerl and she's limited, it does not mean Executor Alter, who is the actual alternate version of Executor, will be an actual limited unit. For example, Executor Alter, Swire Alter, Jessica Alter, they are not limited units. Not every single altar unit is a limited unit. Sometimes you get units that are altars most of the time that actually are limited, but that does not count for every single unit. So the unfortunate thing is, with banners like these, which do have this type of shop, you will have to spend 300 pulls to be guaranteed to get one of these limited units. Now, of course, this actually moves me on to probably the most important part of this. A lot of the time, most of us will not have 300 pulls. That's just reality. I'm never going to say 300 pulls. I don't have the patience for that. Also, a lot of people don't even know what units are coming. That might be why you're watching this video, or maybe you're just curious. But talking about how you can get limited units, one more way is if you cannot buy them in that specific Sparking shop, and this is the most important part. If, for example, Spectre of the Unchained is in the Here I Stand banner, the CN 40th anniversary banner in the Sparking shop, she will also be available on that banner. Now, do take into account, even though she will be available on that banner, she will actually be a much lower rate. If you go to the bottom left and click details on the banner, you will see she will be there with Skadi the Corrupting Heart and Nova Radiant Knight, but they will be lower than Holoyak and Mulesi. So even though you can get them on very specific banners like this, because you can also buy them in the Sparking shop for those banners, you are not guaranteed to get them. They are much lower chance, and most of the time you do have to save 300 pulls to actually get them. Hopefully that made sense. That's a lot of explaining, but I really want to preface that there is really only two ways of getting them. You either spark them on a specific banner, or you get them on a specific banner that they are sparkable for. That's basically basic gist. So that moves me on to the next part, which is when actually specific limited units come in. The probably reason you came to this video, when is Chen Altar coming? When is Gavial Altar coming? When is Chongyue coming? There are some units on this list which simply we don't know yet. They will come eventually, but the banner has not been released yet. Or for example, Chinese New Year maybe hasn't dropped yet, so Chongyue will not be there just yet. Maybe we have to wait a little bit longer. But let's talk about the units that will be coming in. First of all, we have the Here I Stand banner. So, of course, we have Holoyak and Mulesi on this banner. Mulesi is a character who will be limited on this banner. She will come back eventually sometime in the future, but this is the only time she's going to have her own banner with another unit. You won't be able to get her normally with this chance, so I really recommend pulling on limited banners. That's just my opinion. But why I'm bringing this up, if we ignore Mulesi and Holoyak, there is a chance you could get 3 limited units on this banner. Course with a lower chance, and you can also spark on this banner for 3 units. What are these 3 units? Spectre the Unchained, Skadi the Corrupting Heart, and Nova Radiant Knight. They will, like I said, be pullable on this banner with a much lower chance, and also sparkable, which basically means, like I said, 300 pulls spent on this banner, you will be able to go into the little shop for the banner and purchase them. You can also buy Mulesi or Holoyak. You can only buy one of them, but you can also buy, of course, Skadi the Corrupting Heart, Nova Radiant Knight, Spectre the Unchained. When do we know they're coming back? My presumption is they probably won't be back for at least a year, but of course that's just speculation. But this is the best time if you want to try and get them. 300 pulls is a lot, but you can also by chance get them on this banner, which I think makes these type of banners really worth pulling on. Next up, we have the Cloud Top Lucid Dream banner. So this comes with Aethiala Altar and also Swire Altar. Now, if we ignore Aethiala Altar, who is the limited unit, she will come back eventually, like I said before. She will be back at some point, but this is the one banner where you're going to get her with the highest chance, so I really recommend pulling on it. It's good value, you definitely should. But if we actually talk about the units you can get on this, since this is summer themed, you'll be able to spark, which is 300 pulls for the banner, and also be able to have a chance of getting these 2 units on this banner with a lower chance. That will be Chen Altar and Gavial Altar. So if you're looking forward to Chen Altar, which I know a lot of people always ask me, she will be on this banner. She will be a lower chance. You will be able to buy her from the Sparking shop after 300 pulls on this banner. You spend 300 pulls, you go to the law shop, and you can get her. You can't get her any other way. You can pull for the banner and have a chance of getting her, but she's a lower rate. But Sparking is the guaranteed way. 300 pulls is a lot, but unfortunately, that is just how Arknights does things. I personally think 200 pulls is a lot better, but of course, with these 2 units, they should come back potentially, is my guess, for next year when we get another summer themed event. That's of course my opinion. I'm not going to say that's 100% true, but that is what seems to be the pattern. For example, Chong Yue probably won't be back until the next Chinese New Year, because when his banner actually came, that was a theme of Chinese New Year. It's like a celebration. With certain celebrations, we get, for example, summer units. For example, you could probably make a guess that summer units will be on the summer event banner. It just makes a lot of sense. Well, hopefully that actually did make sense. Now, there are some units which you will see here. All of these units will be back at some point. All of these units will be back at some point. For example, W, Rosmontis, Chong Yue, like I said, these units will be back at some point, but at this current moment in time, over the next 6 to 8 months, we do not know when they're going to be back. So you will have to probably wait 8 months plus for global until they actually release, with maybe a W for Spark, so you can get it from the store after 300 pulls. Or maybe she'd be on a banner that is lower rate though for her. So you take that into account. Anyway, hopefully that made sense. I have tried to explain this as well as I could. Hopefully it does make sense. If you did understand what I'm saying, please do drop a like and leave a comment. We're also almost at 4,000 subs. If we could reach that by the end of this week, I would be a very happy person. Anyway, thank you for watching. I will see you next one, and most importantly, adios.